Hi everyone, so I'm back today with a in-depth review with a new product this time. It's called FlowMotion ONE. First of all, what is FlowMotion ONE? Well, that's a tracking stabilizer for your mobile phone camera. It will allow you to actually create gorgeously stable shots with your mobile phone, only mobile phones. It allows for quite a lot more functionality than just a regular stabilizer. So let's first check the packaging, examine the features and functionalities, and dig in a little bit deeper. Alright, so here it is. This is Maka's back, so if she's turning around, just so you know what's happening. Box overall, it looks very, very nice. I love the feel and the quality of it. You have this little red one that you pull open and ooh, you get this lovely pouch, and inside you get your caution not to cut yourself, and you get your user guide, which kind of explains to you the main things how to do. In the package, you open it up and we have the device itself. Very, very nicely. Sorry. You have nice padding here. You have a little pouch here, probably for some of your additions if you want. Main device. This is the adapter. This goes on a tripod and you mount your FlowMotion on top of this. USB cable. So let's get it out and check the device itself. Carbon pole comes in a slightly cheaper box. It's the same design. It's nicely packaged. I like that it's in a bubble wrap because I like to carry it in the bubble wrap in my backpack. There you go. So it's proper carbon. I really like how it looks like and how it feels. Same threads and same red warning labels so that you don't cut yourself on the threads. And I believe that you should take it seriously because you probably can get yourself cut. The overall feel is really nice, light, but super tough and hard. It does not bend, does not twist, does not move anywhere. I like this a lot. This is the actual motion flow, and you'll notice that it consists out of two main parts. The actual stabilizer up to the power button. Down here you have the handle that you can unscrew, and you can add your extension pole here, hook it up here, and yeah, you got your selfie stick stabilizer, whatever you want to call it. Taking it off is equally easy. I'm gonna intentionally keep these two a little bit apart so that we can focus on what's what. The main brain of the entire device is this bit here. So this is your stabilizer, and it goes and it works in 3 axes. It's your gimbal. So it does everything that it needs to do. It's not light, it's quite heavy actually. Everything is metal here except maybe this cover, but even the back here is metal. So most of it is metal and very nice soft rubber here where your phone goes. Everything is really well made. We will see how this goes over time, if it becomes a little bit loose or not, but so far it feels amazing. There are no sharp edges. Craftsmanship is perfect, pretty much absolutely perfect. Everything is just spot on. The paint work is excellent. Discreet flow motion. Overall build quality of the stabilizer, I'm very impressed. It's hefty, it's oozing confidence, and it feels very good. This is where your phone goes. This is the clamp that goes out, and you have your indicators here so that you can remember roughly where you need to position your phone. On the back here you can see the battery indication, so you pop it up, you pop out the battery, and that's your battery that goes in. Serial number of your device is on the inside of the battery cover or also on your box, and you will need to submit the serial number every time you send out a support question, so that's why it's important to have that. Overall build quality of the stabilizer, I really love it. Handle, it's really nicely designed. I love the ergonomy. It's extremely light. Everything is plastic except the connecting point here. You have nice little FlowMotion ONE logo here, and you have some LEDs, your power, your Bluetooth connection, recording indication, and battery level indicator with 3 LEDs. Very, very useful. Joystick that works like a standard joystick. And you have these 2 buttons, mode and record. These markings here, they weren't there when I got it. Weathering maybe kind of made it like that, I'm not sure. Ergonomy is very nice. It rests okay in the palm, and here you can hold, it has a nice indentation for your index finger so that you can operate it normally. On the back we have this kind of rubberized plastic which has a nice feel, and it doesn't feel like it's that sticky type of plastic that becomes gooey and oozy like Logitech mice, which is horrible. So this is great. I understand manufacturing wise it makes sense to make this out of 2 halves, but you know, you can definitely see the seam of these 2. Work itself is good. Towards the end I can definitely feel that it's connected. Overall quality feel of this one feels almost as close as the stabilizer, but a little bit down. There is, however, one big problem with this one, and that's it. It does not sit well in hand. Not the ergonomy of it, the weight of it. The weight distribution is very much off. This thing is pretty much hollow, and it's all plastic. On the top it has all the controls here, and here at the top it has a nice metal connector. So all of the weight is pretty much there at the nose. So center of balance for the grip itself is pretty much here, a little bit behind your index finger. And that's a problem that I'm gonna come back to later on, because everything else, it's just adding weight to the front more and more and more. There's absolutely nothing here in the back that can compensate, and that creates a bit, for me at least, a problem for extended use. One other thing that I think is a huge omission, there is no strap. There's no safety strap. There isn't even a place for a safety strap. You're supposed to use this in high action situations or situations where you need to kind of have stable shots, because obviously you're in an unstable environment and you don't have any kind of safety strap, none. Even if you wanted to make your own, there isn't a place to actually attach a strap onto, and I honestly don't understand how could that have happened, because it does not make any sense whatsoever. So that's a big omission on the handle itself. As far as the build quality goes, overall, I'm very impressed. I'm extremely impressed with how the stabilizer is. Handle, okay, it looks great, feels good, but there are some problems with it, primarily weight distribution and lack of strap. In the package, as standard, comes also the adapter to a normal tripod, and this just slots into the base. Once that's on, then you have your standard gyro that comes onto your any type of tripod, and not just tripods, dashboard of a car, head mount, chest mount, anything like that. So basically this is what you get, plus the cable, and that's pretty much all you need. I also love the fact that you can carry it all in the pouch. The pouch is a little bit big. Vertically you can slot it in any backpack, so I think it's good. So yeah, that's pretty much what we get in the package. So how do you use it? There's like a big sticker here that says never power it on without your phone present and balanced, and that's quite important. The power button here obviously powers it up, but as the warning says, you should first slot in your phone. So how do you actually slot the phone in? Basically you slot your phone by putting it in, and then with the thumb or one index finger underneath to kind of clutch this clamp, and one motion you push the phone here and you just slot it in, and you take it out just like this. Don't be afraid, this is very nice rubberized rubberized rubber. There are no scratches whatsoever on it, so I'm quite happy with it. So the action I really like, because you can do it with 2 fingers and you can do it with 1 hand, which is quite important, because when you're outside and when you're working with it, you want to hold it with 1 hand and the other hand just slots it in. So it's very nice. So next to do is, once you have your phone in, you need to stabilize it. how do you actually balance it out? Let's say that you're in this type of situation. So obviously your phone is now top heavy, because if you try to keep it, it's gonna fall down. So then you push your phone a little bit back. Now we're too much back. And if you push it a little bit more forward, it starts balancing out, and then you do your movements much finer and finer until you actually have something that's balanced. Once you have it set up like that, then you can actually power the device on, and you will feel a slight vibration, and then it's all gonna kind of center out and bzz, yep, come to life, which is very cool. And now it's starting to work. So as you can see, it works fairly awesome. By default, you're in landscape mode. If you want to switch it to portrait mode, you simply move your phone up. It will make a blip, and now it works in portrait mode as well, which is all nice and dandy. So when you have your phone in the portrait mode, if you want to turn it back to landscape mode, you simply switch the phone. The device itself, you'll feel a slight buzz, like one click, and that's an indication that it has flipped. So basically now you're in landscape mode, click, you're in portrait mode. When you power it off, be aware that the whole device will just go limp. So you press and hold, it vibrates, and then it turns off. And now it no longer works. Once you're powered down, then you take your device out. I like to slide it out, and then it's okay. So don't forget to always power off before taking the device out, otherwise you will leave the device powered on and unbalanced, and it's going to freak out. And that's not a good thing. You may damage it, or you can hurt yourself. There are a couple of issues with the design, the hardware design itself, unfortunately. They do say compatible with any phone, almost. If your phone has controls on the side from the half downwards, then you're gonna have a problem. So basically that eliminates all Sony Xperia phones, which is a bad thing because they usually have a really good camera. This is my regular phone, Honor 9, that I use all the time. This is my older phone, LG G4, and I still keep it because it has a really good camera. Thickness of this phone, it's not a lot thicker than the other phone. However, it's not flat on the back, and it actually slipped out of the grip a couple of times. And that's mainly because these indentations are kind of, yeah, the thicker phones can fit, as you can see, but there's like a nice holding point for more modern phones. So there's like definitely an optimal thickness that you would want your phone to be at, and they don't mention that at all. This is when problems happen. If I start adjusting it normally, it will slip out, simply because there's a lot of empty room here and the shape is just not optimal for this design. So just be aware, if you're using a slightly thicker phone and it has some of the shapes like this, that it might be a bit of a problem. So the correct way to do this is first slot in the phone, second balance out the device, the tracker with the phone, third power on the stabilizer, and then last thing is to make sure that you have your Bluetooth on the phone turned on, because that's how it communicates, and then power up the FlowMotion ONE app. If everything's fine, it'll say it's connected to your device and you have your device listed here. So you have your battery level of the device on the screen, which is nice. And here you can see the LEDs. Power on, Bluetooth functioning, recording. I'm not recording. If I start recording, there we go, nice red blinking light, and it works well. Then you have your battery indication, so now I have 2 out of 3. You have your mode and your record and the joystick itself. Joystick works very, very nice and smooth. It's super easy and quick to get used to, and for the most part, the device itself is able to handle difficult situations like this one. It doesn't work perfectly. I'll show these things as well. Another thing that I love about the joystick is that there is a tiny kind of recess made in this joystick so that your thumb really can press inside nicely so you do not slip at all, and it feels very, very good. I've used it with gloves as well, and I had zero problems at all. However, one thing, the weight, it's becoming very heavy right now already, and I know people are going to say, well, you're supposed to use it like this. Maybe, but in reality you don't. In reality you use it like this because you want to be away from yourself and you want to reach some subjects that are out of reach otherwise. So yes, in some situations you will be using it like this, but in that situation you have a bit of a weird angle. I mean, look at this angle here. So if I'm working with it vertically, then my thumb feels really weird. So you want to hold this thing in a natural position, which is an angle like this, so that this tendon is not, so that these tendons are not overstrained. But when you go into that angle, then the top heaviness of the entire device becomes a bit of an issue, and I'm gonna deal with that a little bit later on. But overall, the feeling and functionality feels extremely smooth, and the tracking works very, very good. To the left of the record button, the white one here, we have a mode button. And what this does is you have two modes. If you press it, you have on the screen, it says pan and tilt mode. And now if I move the device up, it will also slowly tilt. It will tilt and pan. So if I turn to the other side, the device will pan, and if I tilt up, it will tilt up, or it will tilt down. And it all has this very, very nice smoothing motion, and you can see how stable it actually is. You can get it confused at some points. Once it gets confused, you double tap the mode button and it just pops back. This is pretty much normal, because if you go completely mental, it's only expected for the device to get a little bit confused. However, it can be a little bit better. At the moment, I can say that it gets confused a little too often for my taste. It's good, but it can be better, I think. The second mode is pan, and in pan mode, you can see that if I pan, it pans as well. But if I start tilting, it does not tilt. It keeps the horizon in place. So basically this is really good for your panning shots, so that you can just turn around and take a nice panoramic sweep, while the pan and tilt mode is more like your look around, and it feels like looking around with your head. So it's really, really cool. Now there's a third mode, which is pretty much my favorite mode, and that's a hold. So when you press and hold the mode button, it literally locks your device into place. And now, no matter what you do, it's a true gimbal. And you can actually see that it works fantastic. It's really hard to get it confused in these situations, and I've tested it out in some slightly difficult conditions, and you'll see the results. I was thoroughly impressed by this. So this is a really good mode, but I don't get it. Why do we have to press and hold? That's kind of weird, because I would really love it if I could just put it into a hold mode. Additionally, I kind of miss the ability to switch between the modes in the app itself when this is disconnected from the handle. So for example, if I connect it to a tripod or to a chest mount or a head mount, it would be very nice to actually just switch the mode normally, because your joystick then doesn't work, or the controller doesn't work. There's really no way to control how this stabilizer works unless you use this handle, and that I think is a huge omission, and I hope they address that soon. I'm in love with how smooth the ease in and ease out compensation is for both pan tilt, and especially when holding. I never get tired of this, how still it is. It's very, very cool. In the app itself, you can change the exposure control, so you can make it brighter or darker. Yeah, on the left side you can change the aspect ratio. However, at the moment it just squeezes the image, it doesn't really crop it, which is, I don't know if that's intended behavior or not. Yeah, you can switch between front and back facing camera. On the right side you have all the options. However, at the moment, panorama and live, as you can see, you can tap all you want, they don't do anything. However, when you tap on photo, you get into the photo mode. Some bugs here still. Yeah, it's the aspect ratio, you have to reset it by changing it, and then it works okay, but it still looks like it's doing some weird things. You can also choose to go to slow-mo. This is where you can shoot your video in slow motion. Then you have time-lapse, where you have the option of setting the motion, and the idea is to set the duration of yeah, the overall duration, and it says how long it will take to create how much footage. You can also, theoretical idea is that you can set angles so that it changes through those angles over time, but it doesn't unfortunately work. So yeah, let's turn that off. And you can see some user interface problems. Everything is one over each other and everything is in portrait mode, even in landscape. You can also save presets, which is kind of useful, and of course you have the settings, which is the really important part. So you can set your resolution, frame rate, depending on, of course, your hardware device, slow-mo resolution and frame rate. Then you can frame intervals for time-lapse, video quality, which is your bitrate of the compression, and you can enable grid or enable the center point, which is also useful. In stabilizer you should be able to stabilize the horizon, but I don't have that option at all, and you should be able to update firmware, but there's no option or indication of it anywhere on Android at this time. And this is the grid and the center point that you can see here. So that's pretty much yeah, you can focus by tapping anywhere on the screen like you would, and yeah, change exposure, right? So that's pretty much that. Okay, so here I am checking this thing out. Here, day is terrible. There's no light whatsoever, so it's slightly snowing, but considering that the day is going to be gone anyway in a few hours, that's what I got. So I have to work with what I have. I'm going to take a little walk next to an island that's really near. I love this place, and it's right next to the water, you can see. So as you can see, it's a very nice lake, and that's the island I'm going to, over that bridge. And yeah, the weather conditions and the light conditions, I really wish that it was a little bit better, that I had at least some contrast or something. But yeah, the whole point of this test is to test the device and how FlowMotion ONE works. So let's take a walk and see how this thing works in reality. Figuring out how this actually really is best to use, the different modes. So now I'm in pan mode, and basically it's really cool to use it simply to look around and keep everything kind of level. I wish there were some more settings so that I can adjust the sensitivity reaction time, so to speak. So basically you just hold it and you yourself turn, and the device keeps tracking and keeps everything level very nicely. We're in so now in pan and tilt mode. If I move and tilt the whole thing up, the device will also look up. So that's good. And the same thing happens when you're going to the side. But the main difference between between having tilt on and off is basically the compensation and tracking stabilization is done on 2 axes in pan and tilt. So I think combination of having both the pan and tilt mode and the pan mode separate is quite cool, but it does require some time to actually use it to understand how best to utilize it. And since this is just my 3rd day with the device, I'm still learning and exploring and discovering new things, and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing that you can still find new ways to actually use this. And not forget, so you have your arm motion, your body motion, and the joystick as well. So and a different mode combination, so you can really think of a lot of things to do with this thing. So I really like that. I have to say that I'm quite impressed by how quickly you're able to actually adapt to this device, and how inspiring it is, because it's constantly kind of asking you to do new things and to see what happens and how could you use this control or this combination or that combination. But above everything else, it makes shooting more fun, and that's really cool. Ergonomy of the controls is really well laid out. The LEDs function perfectly. They're not disturbing, but they're perfectly clear. The joystick sensitivity, that's a software thing, so it's good for now, but it would be nice to have those ease-ins and ease-outs so that you can have different types of controls, but I'm fairly sure they're going to be adding that as well. So yeah, so far very good. So let's do some more shots, because it's oh my. So now we're in Winter Wonderland. I gotta take some shots of that. Alright, we're almost at the place where I wanted to go, and it's quite nice. There's a lot of fresh snow here, so it's going to be very bumpy, which is, I think, a good thing, because then we get to test this thing out and see how it compares to my previous methods of recording. So I'm going to have a GoPro on my head, and I'm going to stick this thing onto the chest with a chest harness, and then just see, yeah, how it looks like and what kind of results we will get. So yeah, let's try that. So GoPro, silly as it is on top of the cap and everything else, but it's on my head, and that's what I would usually use when I'm doing tracking, because it's important for me to have my hands free. So GoPro is here, and the motion flow, I'm just gonna Hopefully this will be noticeable, but this is the adapter from an action camera standard down to normal camera mount, and I'm gonna use the included tripod mount for the motion flow and put it on the chest here, and then just shoot and see the comparison footage of the two, what kind of results we get. So I'm excited to see that. Let's get going and let's see how this turns out. Now I'm walking normally, so it's really important for me to walk as much as I can normally. The only thing I'm using is I'm using my left hand to simply hold the top of the chest mount, because the weight is too much and the straps are crap, so then it wants to flap about, and I just want to see how this thing works in normal situations, because usually I would just I forgot my strap, so I should have had a strap over it as well to hold it tight. But let's see so far how this goes. Hey, there's ducks. Alright, so let's try and go. Hey, we got ducks coming by. Hello, boys and girls. I'll get back to you a little bit later. Let's go a little bit through the forest and see what kind of footage do we get when we go here. Okay, so we're gonna go and step up a little bit. So normal step up and another step up. Oh gosh, this is pretty. This is very, very, very pretty. Oh wow. Winter wonderland, indeed. Okay, let's go back. Step back down. Normal step back. Let's jump down. That's good. And go back to the duckies and try to do a tripod shot. That's gonna be interesting to try. If that works, the time lapse. Or maybe some shots with the ducks. We'll see. So I'm gonna go back now and I'm gonna test out how does this actually work when I use the mode freeze or hold mode, and that's done by holding the mode button. That's supposed to keep the camera locked no matter what, and I want to see how that will turn out and what it will do when I go back in this direction and do some normal walking and some running, because I'm interested to see how does that perform as opposed to the standard modes. So let's do that, and I'm using the stick. The weight balancing is terrible, but it does provide the distance that you need, so it's very nice. So once a counterbalance is actually added, it'll work nice. So let's try some of the more dynamic stuff, and it's going to be running uphill a little bit and things like that. All right, so let's see here. Okay, this was so still that I thought my screen was frozen. So this is normal walking with the hold mode on, and I can now tilt and twist and do pretty much whatever I want. You can't really see this, but I'm moving the whole stick and everything all the way around. So now let's run. Running uphill. Whoa! Stumbling actually. Almost fell. But managed to keep this holding on. So let's... Okay, I'm very impressed by how this worked in the hold mode, but I really don't understand why isn't that a mode? I mean, so far that seems like the most useful mode of all for lots of things, or at least as useful as everything else. So I really don't get it. Why do I have to keep it pressed down? I would really like to have this as regular mode like anything else. But basically, yeah, I was running uphill, I stumbled, I fell on my knee and kept moving forward, and I'm really interested to see what the footage looks like from the chaos that was happening when I was doing it. It seemed okay, it seemed actually perfectly still, so I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing how that looks like. Unfortunately, it seems that the time-lapse on the Android app, at least, the motion feature of the time-lapse is not working. I did set up the shots and nothing happened, but at least it does create a time-lapse video for you. So that portion works, so I'm just gonna try and do that, and maybe try and do some manual time lapses using the hold function, because that should provide for a nice view as well. So on my way back, and yeah, see you tonight. Okay, so we've covered a lot, pretty much most of the functionalities that work at the moment. And before I get to the conclusion, I really want to go over a couple of things that are a bit problematic. Number one for me is the absence of wrist strap or the safety strap. That's a big no-no for me, because it is possible that you're gonna drop it into snow, water, down a cliff. Maybe you're skydiving and maybe it falls and then kills a pigeon. That would be horrible. If you had a wrist strap, it would be disaster averted, but this one doesn't have a wrist strap. The second point is the weight distribution. The weight that's exerted on your wrist tendons is significant and it actually hurts. It's not comfortable to use, and I don't like that because it's a beautiful device. So that's why it rubs me the wrong way. If it sucked, then I wouldn't care. But it doesn't suck. It actually really, really rocks. The stabilizer rocks. I just wanted to do, for my own nerdy sake, I want to find out where the balancing point is, and basically how much weight in kilograms is being exerted on my wrist in normal mode, and how much is exerted on my wrist tendons when using the pole. So this is basically where the center of balance is. So already now, when you're actually holding it, this is where the entire device is actually balanced out. What I'm going to do is now measure the distance between where my index finger is. So that would be basic leveling. If you have end point A, straight line, end point B. Here I have 100 grams, and the center of balance is around here. So I need to find this distance to the other end, so X and Y, and then I can just figure out how much weight needs to be put on the other end. So I've used the center balancing point of the device itself as my point A, right? Distance between this and where you hold the device is around 12. From the point that you hold it all the way to the back is 11.5 centimeters. So that's quite good. Basically, you feel an exertion of roughly, in my case with my phone, roughly around 570 grams is pulling you on these tendons, and that's basically reflects what I felt. And I did have a problem was when I used the extension pole, and when I actually did the calculations with the extension pole, then it exerts over 2 kilos on your wrist, and then you have 2,286 grams roughly exerted at this angle on your tendons and on your wrist, and that feels bad. Plus you don't have a strap, so what you end up doing is you end up supporting it with the other hand, but that again limits you with types of shots that you can get. So yeah, that's something that you should definitely be aware of, because it's not a small negligible thing. When the device reaches 90 degrees, when it lines up here, it needs to figure out, oh, I'm flipping over, so I need to start flipping the bottom one over. And you can see that happening here. So if I start turning, it reaches 90 degrees, flips over on top. If I go back, flips down to the bottom. That's okay. However, what happens when I hold it at 90 degrees, pretty much precisely, we get a problem, a big one. I am not doing anything, and I'm not exactly at 90 degrees either. And I'm moving around, it's trying, and I'm not moving my joystick, nothing. I'm just simply holding the joystick and trying to move it in that direction. Now, I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary. This is something that is normal, and this is something that the device should be able to handle. This is anything but smooth, and this actually affects the footage as well. So he is trying his best, definitely, but there we go. This is how it was supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be working. I have experienced this in the field trying to do some shots, and it's not fun. So this thing, definitely not fun. Hardware itself is really good, and I love that they got most of the stuff right. The stuff that's not right, the counterbalance and absence of strap, fortunately those are the only two hardware issues that I've encountered. It sucks that they are there, but they are, so that's what it is. All of the other features or that are missing or that are not working are software based, and that's the other problem. When you go through the site, it advertises that this device enables you to do this, do stunning live feeds, do awesome panoramas. Both don't work out of the box. When you're in landscape mode, the user interface remains in portrait mode, so you have to look at it sideways. User interface overlap each other. Motion feature of time-lapse doesn't work. You can't calibrate horizontal axis. Your horizon is not going to be perfectly level. It's going to be like this. And you probably saw that in the shots earlier. And there's nothing I can do. There's literally nothing I can do. I can just go into the app and look at it, and I can look at the YouTube where guy says, and then you just go into the stabilizer and you calibrate it. And if you're an Android user, I almost cussed there. And if you're an Android user, yeah, you can't do anything, and there's no indication that the feature is coming in the future or something like that. Firmware update. I have no idea. Which version of firmware update do I have? I, as an Android user, have no idea. So I don't know if I have the latest version, I don't know which version I have, and I don't have an option to update even if there was a firmware update. It's not been advertised anywhere that the functionality is nowhere near similar yet for an Android. That's a thing that irks me the wrong way. So just put in an asterisk and say currently only supported on iOS, Android coming in the future. Make sure that your app has grayed out icons for the ones that don't function. Make sure that your UI doesn't overlap and it orients the way it should. I mean, it's not a big deal. It will be fixed, but it pisses me off because the delivery dates have been moved and moved and moved and moved for this thing for a very long time. Thankfully, hardware justifies it, definitely, but the software part, if the company was just honest and said, you know, on the website, currently it works only on iOS, we're working hard on getting it on Android. Estimation for Android is maybe then and then. Great, hey, I get that, but don't let me try and tap the button like an idiot. I then go to the website, I go through the features, there's no asterisk, there's nothing is saying anything. So I go all the way to the support, and then you get feedback, oh, it's not even implemented. Come on, that's doo-doo. That's really doo-doo. So I really hope that they put in a lot of effort and raise the level of Android app experience, because right now it's far below beta. So yeah, the device itself does not piss me off. The mentality behind the software development pisses me off pretty much and is not okay. On a more positive note, the hardware side works so well that you simply know that if you're patient enough and the team behind it is hardworking enough, that you will end up with something very, very awesome. And it opens up the door for many added functionalities. For example, time-lapse motion. So you can set one angle, you can set the starting angle, you can set the stop angle, and then, or maybe 4 different angles, and you can tell it to move and progress between those camera angles through time. When it starts working for Android as well, it's going to be excellent. There's really no reason why we wouldn't have that as an option for the regular shot modes as well, just to have motion. Because, for example, if you put your tracker on a tripod and then you just create a pan shot that you would like, and you have, for example, a control of how sensitive and how smooth of an ease in and ease out will you have, how long of a pan will it be, or how long the whole motion sequence will be. That will allow you to do some pretty amazing things, and it will transform it to far beyond a simple tracking device. I'm going to send it as a feature request. It would be nice if the app would show in which mode you are, so if you're in pan and tilt or just pan mode. Right now, if you just press the button, it will show on the screen for a little while, but it will disappear, but there's no indication whatsoever in what mode you are in currently, and that's, I think, would be useful to have. As far as the joystick goes, there's like 2 things that would be really nice to have. First one is to change the sensitivity and the ease in and ease out behavior of the joystick. Hardware has beautiful, beautiful ease ins and ease outs. It's just gorgeous how smooth it is, but the joystick itself is now in a very rudimentary implementation phase. Responsiveness curves would be very nice to have, and also sensitivity. So those 2 things for the joystick would be an excellent addition, and I think pretty much a necessary one to elevate this to a pro type of device. Also for the joystick, I think it would be extremely useful if you had an option to lock axis, so that you can just do pan or just tilt. or both together. So I'm very, very excited, and I hope that they actually are thinking in that direction as well, so that we actually get a device that's far beyond the tracker and it's something that you can use for proper filmmaking. So what's the overall impression of the FlowMotion ONE? It is a gorgeous device. It's definitely an absolutely gorgeous device. The tracker itself, the craftsmanship and the attention to detail and how it feels and how it works, most importantly, is stunning. The level of smoothness and precision is absolutely amazing, and it's a total joy to simply use it, and it's excellent when you have a product like that. Considering how complex of a device it actually is and how much it allows you to do, it's surprisingly easy and inviting to get to learn how to use more properly. And I found that it's inspiring, and it actually invites you to explore a little and then think about, oh, what if I combine these two things, what happens then? Or if I combine this mode and body movement, what happens then? And you keep discovering new ways to use it, and that's another excellent point. Weight balance is definitely a problem. Not a huge problem when it's in its default form, but when you add an extension, then it becomes actually a problem. Also, no strap is a really big problem as well, because of the weird weight balance or disbalance and the absence of the strap. You feel a little bit insecure in certain positions that you're going to drop it, or is it going to slip or not. App for the Android is, as I said, if we're feeling generous, we can say that it's in an early beta stage, but it needs significant more work. Let's leave it at that. One last thing hardware-wise that's worrying is that, and this is a huge one, this is the biggest one for me, I hope that it's just my unit. What I have been experiencing is random shutdowns, like everything works fine and it just goes bleh. And that's a big one. That's a big problem. And what I find interesting is that when I went ahead to the customer support and to send out the ticket, they already had that as listed as one of the features. So it seems that it's not just me, it seems that it's something that's already familiar to them. I have noticed it powering off whether I use the handle or not. And every time it behaves the same. You get it powers off without the buzz, without anything, and it just glows a red light on the side. You have to press the power button once and then it goes away, and then you can power it up and it works again. And I have yet to have a recording session where I haven't experienced this power off issue at least twice. So in my mind, that's a big worry. So we have to see what that is. Hopefully it's something that they can, deal with. Oh, and a last minute update. Technical support seems to be really excellent. I have submitted several tickets yesterday morning and during the day, and that was Friday before Christmas weekend. So you have to keep that in mind. And I received replies on 2 of the 4 or 5 issues that I supplied. I also received a reply on the shutdown issue, and the suggestion that they offered didn't work, but it's still, it doesn't matter. What really matters is the response time is amazing and you feel in contact and no, you don't feel abandoned as a customer. So another big plus. Now with the problem stuff out of the way, I can focus on the stuff that, for me at least, matters, and it matters more than any of the problems. And that's the fact that this thing feels wonderful to use. It really does. It feels completely wonderful to use. You just want to go out and record with it. I don't want to go anywhere outside without it. It's always going to be in my backpack. It really allows you to create wonderful shots and wonderful composition and things that you simply are not able to do without this device. And that is the whole point. That's its purpose. That's what it's for. So I think that's spot on. It's incredibly satisfying to use because of the sheer quality and precision. It's just butter smooth. Now, I know that I've mentioned several problems, so 3 main issues. First is powering off, second is the weight balance in the strap, and the third is the sorry state of the Android app at the moment. So that one will definitely get figured out. Strap and the weight counterbalance, I can't do nothing about that, and I hope that they figure out the power off feature. Even taking those into consideration, I'm very happy with the device. I know it sounds weird, but I am happy with it because the pros that it gives me, the types of shots, the satisfaction of use, the inspiration, all of these things really outweigh these problems, which are not negligible. These are not negligible problems. You have to take them into consideration. I'm simply saying, for me personally, the positives that this offers and the potential that is opened by fixing most of these issues is hugely outweighing the negatives that are here. So my overall experience, I'm very happy with it. I'm ultimately extremely happy with the results. I understand that it's going to take a little bit time. First they have to ship everything out, then they have to fix everything. So yeah, it's going to take time, but I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the results. I mean, I can't wait for next week when I'm going to have finally some sunny weather, and I'm already thinking in my head, where can I go to get some nice shots and what type of shots can I be doing, and that's exactly what I wanted it to do, and it does that. It inspires me and forces me to go outside and take some new shots and maybe take different sequences, and it gives me fantastic results. So in my book, this definitely is a keeper, and I'm super happy with the purchase. Does it have issues at the moment? Yes. Hopefully they will be resolved, but overall, even with those issues, I am extremely happy and impressed with the results and the quality of the tracker itself. This baby is going into my backpack, and it ain't leaving unless it needs to charge, because this is something that I always want to have with me by my side. So I hope that you have found this review interesting and useful. If you have, please like and subscribe. I'm still trying to reach that goal of 1,000 subscribers, which would be excellent. It's getting there, kind of slow, but it is getting there. And if you haven't subscribed and you liked what I do, check out my other videos as well, especially on the Remarkable and some of the synthesizer stuff. And I'm planning on doing a couple more reviews of some other esoteric and useful kind of devices that are not your everyday use, but are quite useful. So thanks for watching, and see you soon. Happy holidays and enjoy the new year.